All right, UFO sightings the military can't explain. Congressional hearings, Pentagon whistleblowers, armadas of strange aircraft flying over, of all places, New Jersey. What does it all mean?
NewsNation has independently obtained previously unseen video obtained from a secret UAP craft retrieval program. This extraordinary footage clearly shows an egg-shaped object dangling in a sling below the belly of a helicopter.
Take my hand!
Hey, welcome back everyone to Alien Addict on this fine and luxurious day. And I tell you something now, it is a fine and luxurious day because you've got me as the new host of Alien Addict. Yes, I know it's a bit different, but don't worry, I'm going to explain everything very, very soon. But thank you so much for the kind words in chat. I'll get to you very, very shortly. And obviously I'll explain the situation of Alien Addict. Yeah, it's going to be quite interesting year, I would say, for me being in the driver's seat. So first things first, you're probably wondering, why am I here as the new host? I ask that question every single day. But anyway, let's get to the boys, because you're probably wondering, where is Lee? Where is Ollie? Where is Dave? And you can find them at the Daily Conspiracy Podcast on Spotify, Podbean, and I believe Apple as well. But, you know, who uses Apple anymore? But yeah, go find them out on Spotify, the Daily Conspiracy Podcast. They go to Monday to Friday because reptilians don't take days off. We have no evidence of that. But anyway, they do not take days off. But yeah, go check them out. 5 days a week, guys, talking all things conspiracies. To be honest with you, I couldn't do 5 days a week talking about conspiracies, even though it's for an hour and a half. It's just my mindset. You got to be a strong mindset to do that. So fair play to the boys. But yeah, one more time, the Daily Conspiracy Podcast, and it's just like Alien Addict, just more dirtier and more dick jokes and everything. So yeah, oh, what a show I've got for you tonight. So what I'm going to do first is, well, there's something that pops up onto my radar, and I want to talk about it first because America is going through a lot of changes at the moment, and I don't want to go on to like conspiracies and stuff like that, but I think this is worth mentioning because I've been talking about this for bloody donkey's years. Okay. Am I up? Let's have a little look. I'll get to chat in a minute, guys. Just 2 seconds, but I want to talk about this just briefly before we get onto the show because this is big news.
Sir, we have an executive order ordering the declassification of files relating to the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Senator Robert F. Kennedy, and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
That's a big one, huh? A lot of people are waiting for this for years, for decades. And everything will be revealed.
Hopefully.
Okay. Give that to RFK.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Wow. Let's bring me up. Yeah, that is pretty big deal. Let's find the right one for me. Hold on, where am I at? There we go. Yeah, that's a pretty big deal, you have to admit. I really hope when it comes to files being released, and the problem is, guys, let's bring it back up again because I want to show you what a document actually looks like. Okay, let's just go back. I'm gonna get to Roll's cold start in a bit. Where are we going to? Bookmarks. Don't know if you can see that. Let's have a look. Right, there we go. This is what a declassified document actually looks like. My personal opinion, I think this, well, the 3-letter agencies now are bricking it. And it's a bit like MK Ultra sort of style, where they're just going to be burning documents and redacting documents. And I think this is going to be the outcome of the JFK files. I might be wrong, but I think the 3-letter agencies who clearly know they're involved, I think they're really going to cover their ass on this one. I really do hope we get the actual proof that we really need. But at the same time, I'm very skeptical. I'm really skeptical. But this is what a redacted document looks like. So time will tell, guys. Time will tell. But my God, I mean, there's some big bombs dropped from Donald Trump, what he's done in the past, well, a couple of days. You know, dramatic change, dramatic change. So let's go on to the show. I thought I just brought that up because it gets me going, you know, it gets my brain thinking a little bit. But that I've been talking about this on Alien Addict for the past 2 years, even longer, that the fact that technically by law, those documents should have been released. And it's been so many years, what 60 years, over probably even 70 years now, technically by law, it should be declassified. So again, time will tell, and I hope this pass of legislation, things can actually get the ball moving. You know, but I think some people, the CIA, the 3-letter agency, go figure, are pretty much alive probably. So there might be a lawsuit. Who knows? I'm just sort of spouting at the moment, but time will tell. Right. Okay. Let's get on with the show because I've got a jam-packed show for you today. I'm sort of processing things on what I'm going to be talking about because I don't want to bore you. You know, I don't want to be like talking about me for the next couple of hours, really. But I think it's worth doing because if you're new to the show or new to Alien Addict, I have been on for the past couple of years as a frequent guest and sort of talking about ufology. Obviously, we had the guests like Matt and Hidden, and don't worry, they will be on. This is just going to be me today, just sort of get into the flow of things. But I'm going to try and get Hidden on for the next show and all that. But we will get to the regular routine. So going back Christmas time last year, I was asked to go back on the Daily Conspiracy podcast. And I was asked quite nicely by Olli. Says, look, Alien Addict is nothing's happening with it at the moment, really, because they've been focusing on the podcast, quite rightly so. And Olli said to me, would you like to take over Alien Addict? And I was like, yeah, go on then. And from then, I was sort of obsessing over what can I do to Alien Addict that's different to other UFO channels. Now, I'm not bashing other UFO channels on YouTube or anything like that. I think they've got good value points all on its own. But I want to do something different. Of course, we're going to talk about the current day ufology, what's been going on and all that. Sort of keep up to the current time for sure. But I want to add my own mix. Okay. So if you don't know me and my channel, so I've got a YouTube channel called The Cosmic Twilight. Yeah, I know it kind of sounds a bit gay. Okay. I'm going to change it soon. And I got another channel, a Rumble, which I pretty much upload every single day, which is called Investigate with Nick 89. And I deal with two subjects. One, I'm not going to mention, those trails in the sky. And the second is German flying saucers. But we're going to get to that pretty much soon. So what I'm going to do for Alien Addict for the next year, as I'm going to be the host of the show. So what I'm going to be doing is sort of, I want to go out in the field. I want to investigate sort of sightings. I mean, I don't live too far away from Wiltshire, which is like a hotspot for UFO activity, like sort of Gloucestershire sort of way. So I would quite like to do that and go into like UFO conferences as well to sort of interview people and really get into the nitty gritty of stuff, really. And I would say, obviously, have the panels as well. Obviously, you get Matt from Terrestrial Material and other UFO channels as well. I want to sort of bring back Alien Addicts to its original roots. That's what I really want to do. Okay, so that's what I got in store for this year. And one thing I am going to be focusing on, and I think this is where my expertise come in. I'm going to delve into this just a little bit later, and that's German flying saucers. Okay, I'm going to add something to Alien Addict. That is going to be, yes, Moody, Alien Addict outdoors, absolutely for sure. Oh, hello, how are you? Oh no, chat's going crazy. There it is. Yes, Alien Addict outdoors. Hello, Moody. How's it going, mate? I'll get to chat in a minute. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. I want to get into the nitty gritty, and I kind of think it's a bit. I kind of act myself like, where is he? Where is he? There we go. I want to be like that guy, Fox Mulder. Okay, I want to be like the new X-Files, but like the real thing. You know what I mean? Which means, guys, I need a hot blonde companion. So if you're free and available and you look like that, contact Alien Addict. Oh, hang on, I got an email address that I forgot to put down. Anyway, but yeah, contact me on Investigate with Nick 89. If you look like that, I don't want any mingers. No mingers, please. You got to look like that. And we're going to go into the field of ufology with my hot companion. I should take this seriously, honestly. But I want to be like the Fox Mulder of UFO channels. It's everything that this guy wish he could have been. Yes. Mr. Nick Pope. I don't know why I've got him. Oh my God. I've got Jeremy right. Okay, right. First of all, somebody said I look like that. Jeremy Renner. Do I look like Jeremy Renner to you? Anyway. Get off the screen. Carry on with the show. But yeah, this is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the year with Alien Addicts. I've got some special guests as well, like Joseph P. Farrell, who can hopefully be coming on, some authors of some UFO books, and a few other people as well. So it's going to be a mixed bag, something a little bit different to what Alien Addict used to be, but I'm going to try and keep to the same routine as it used to be, because that's why you're always here, isn't it? That's why you're always here. So what I'm going to be doing first of all, I've got my notes here, and I must stick to the notes. Actually, tell you what, let's go on chat. Who we got in chat then? Right, first things first, right? Never tell your weaknesses, okay? But I'm going to say this now. I am a terrible reader. Mysterion, brother, we were talking before the show. You know how bad well, that was me 420, but I'm very much sober now. But you know how bad I read. So a lot of it's going to be AI today. So if I do mispronounce words, that's yeah, blame it on me. I'm not blaming dyslexia. I'm just probably just like thick. Thing is, when I read books, right? When I read books, it's always in my brain. I never say it out loud. And then suddenly when I got to read, like for instance, on Hidden Underbelly show, when me and Hidden are like 420 and we're trying to read, we're just screwing things up. We're literally screwing things up. And it's quite hilarious. We're like the Cheech and Chong of UFO channels. Which is good. Oh my God, chat is going bananas. Absolutely bananas today. What we got in chat. So we got our good friend Mysterion. Thanks for calling me earlier, bruv. I do appreciate that. And your friendship's been very kind, I have to admit. Here we go. Nashoba. Is that right? Thanks for coming on in. Brandon, sorry. Oh my God, see, I'm screwing it up already. Rebecca, I know that one. Rebecca, thanks for coming on in. Dixon Cox, thanks for coming on in. And John Strokes, how's it going? Thanks for being there. City Diva, there we go. See, I'll keep my eye out for you. And I've got to reply to your text. But thanks for coming in yesterday for a cup of tea. And yeah, I know City Diva. I'm not going to say your name, but came in for a cup of tea, talked all things conspiracies and strange stuff. In fact, I would quite like to get City Diva on because we've got a connection with the 1111, which tends to not haunt me, but I see it everywhere. Olli, he was always saying he can see the number 33 everywhere, but I see the number 1111. It's weird. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Richard, how's it going, bro? Thanks for coming in. I can't pronounce. I know you. Hi. Is it she pop? Just message me. DW. Welcome on in. Who else have we got here? Richard Corbell's cat. They're actually quite regular at the moment. Do appreciate you coming on in. Okay, if I don't see your name or didn't pronounce your name, it just means we've got a lot of show to get on with. So let's pop into my notes and let's have a little look. Oh yeah, I was going to mention if there's like any emergency events going on, for instance, like I don't know, we get a portal opening up in Glastonbury and there's some aliens running about, I will be on that like a shot. Okay, we will do like an emergency live stream, and that I think is worth doing. Absolutely. Okay, let's talk about me. Just slightly. Okay. How do I get that off? There we go. Let's do this. Right. Okay. I've got photographs. If you know anything about my research and what I do, I quite like to do presentations. I always do presentations, which means photographs and whatnot. So let's bring up. I've got my notes. 2 seconds, everyone. Yeah. Okay. Let's bring this up. But thanks for everyone being in chat. I really do appreciate everyone being here. I know things are a little bit different, but don't worry. I'll promise you Ollie will be back on at some point. The boys will be back on at some point, and I absolutely promise you that. Okay? Right. Let's bring this up. Okay. So my perspective of where I've come from, how I treat ufology. Okay. So I need to go back to where I was when I was a kid. Now, my mum and dad are still very much alternative. They were always into conspiracies. They were all into like UFOs and aliens. So that was pretty much dominated through my household since I was a kid. And here's just a typical example that I was grew up with. Okay, X-Files, the music did scare me, and I know the person in chat would actually agree with me on that one. But Strange But True. Can anyone remember Strange But True back in the 90s on HDV? We've got Arthur C. Clarke. I can remember the KGB UFO footage that me and my dad watched live on Channel 5, and it had I had my small little TV screen. You remember with the videotape in it? It was like a 10-inch screen. And I remember watching that with my dad on that. And obviously Edge Media TV. Oh, Edge Media TV. Miss it so much. So my whole upbringing has been pretty much the paranormal, aliens, conspiracies and all that. So anything that is pretty much alternative, it's always caught my eye. I've always found that fascinating. Even like government cover-ups. It's always been a very interesting topic for me. So then I moved on to, and I grew up, I came to my teenagers. Do you want to see a picture of me like a girl? Okay, I had to sift through like a load of photographs of me when I was, this is 2007, okay, ready? That's me with long hair. Look at that face. That, ladies and gentlemen, that is a girl's face. Excuse me, love, do you want to come and be in my UFO club? Yeah, so this is me in 2007, and this was the time where I was in. So I studied music. I'm actually a drummer, but same as Lee. There's a picture of me. I went to music college. I've got a degree in music. I've got no other education, anything like that. But at that time period, I really got into the studies of UFOs. That's where my interest really peaked, because the internet came out at that time. I mean, it was out at that time, but the UFO content was really quite relevant at that sort of stage. And besides, I mean, like conspiracy stuff. I mean, especially like YouTube back in the day, it was so much freer. You know, you can research for your heart's content, and you didn't have to sort of, you know, go through avenues. I mean, YouTube, my God, that was like the best place to find like conspiracy stuff, like UFO stuff and information like that. So at that time period, I was like hardcore researching into stuff. And then I realized I was like, I actually quite like reading. So 2007, went through my awakening stage, knew things that were everything I knew I thought was right was actually wrong. So I had to sort of re-educate myself, so to speak. And then that's when I started to collect books. Okay. If I put me up on screen here, this is where my obsession with books started to come in, because I like to go back to the original source. So, for instance, there was a UFO case that I heard that was going on in Wales back in the 70s called the Welsh Triangle. So instead of me going on the internet for it, I ended up just buying the book. And I thought, let's just go back to the original source and actually find out where these stories come from. So this is what I did and have been done for the past, since 2007, just buying these vintage books on UFOs, really studying these cases. Because before the internet, guys, before YouTube, before this, magazines and books, this is where you got your information from. So that's me. I'm just a bit of an old school guy when it comes to information. In fact, the Foo Fighters that I'm going to be talking about today in this episode is all book research. Nothing, really rarely anything's going to be internet research on this one. It's all related to books. So that's where I started researching into UFOs quite hardcore. Let's bring this back up. I think it's that one there. Can I make it a bit bigger? That's what she said. Put me down on a little screen there. There we go. Okay, so at that time period, I was researching into UFOs, finding all these old cases. And besides, right, ask this question, guys. This is taken from what my book collections here. I would definitely recommend getting these two books. Oh my God, Nick. There we go. Right. So what you see on the screen in a minute came from these books here. These are extremely rare books by Graham Randall. Dealt a lot with the Billy Meyer case, but these books here are extremely rare. I mean, it cost me like a fair few £100 each. But this is where these photographs came from. But you don't see these flying saucers anymore. I mean, look at that one there. You can see my cursor. Look, it's actually giving off a trail. That one looks like the Hounaboo because it's got the underground turret underneath it. But yeah, this is just a collection of UFOs. Look, anyone seen that before? This is it. You don't really find these photographs online. If you really look for it, sure. But at the same time, you're just going to get grainy crap stuff. Yeah, this is back in the 70s. However, you don't really come across photographs like this, especially this one here. I find absolutely fascinating. But at that time period, something really clocked my interest. I was going, is this real? Is this fake? And this is not German flying saucers. Was actually this. Okay. I'm going to play a clip from this video that came out. Actually, tell you what, let's bring up on screen and it might jog your memory, because this is when I was paying attention to ufology, listening to what Nick Pope was saying. And especially when documents started to come out, a lot of documents started to be, I won't say leaked, but sort of released by the MOD, Ministry of Defense, which kind of led to nothing. But I remember seeing this. I was working for a disco company and I was watching this before we went off to set up this DJ equipment. This might jog your memory. This was from 18 years ago. So that would have been 2006, I think.
Localizar el blanco detectado por el radar.
A la misma altura. Hay unas nubes ahí, se debe de ver. Pero, a ver, busquen eso que viene atrás de nosotros.
Ve cómo se ve como en dos fotos.
Viene como a las 7, 8 de la posición. Lo raro es que trae una punta adelante.
La cámara infrarroja detectó otros objetos que en el radar no aparecieron.
Sí, ahí van 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. ¡Ay, no son 8! ¡Qué barbaridad! Ahí se van a ver bien.
There we go. Can I remember that? This is back in Mexico I got the right date here, actually. I remember might have been the original video 18 years ago. Yeah, 18 years ago. 30th of June, 2006. Blimey. God. Yeah, I remember seeing this footage and I thought it was the first time ever where I went, oh, actually, this is just balls of light. Because I've been familiar with a lot of these UFO cases. especially like balls of light. And then I thought to myself, well, nothing's really happening with these balls of light. And I just found it just at that time period a bit boring because I was more concentrated on, flying saucers. And at that time, Tic Tacs didn't exist. I mean, 2006, I mean, the TR3B, the triangle craft, which I did see. Well, it was more or less the Aurora program that Nick Cook got his book here. 100 per 0 point. Go check that out. It talks about the Aurora program. They got this new fighter that can't be tracked, that can go thousands of miles an hour, that any sort of conventional aircraft that we have, especially military. So yeah, like again, at that time I was studying UFOs quite hardcorely and buying books. And then, hold on, I've got to skip forward to that, to this. And I can do that and that. And I can bring up, hold on. God, there we are. There we go. Woo! Got there in the end. Let's make it a bit bigger. That's the only thing I've done is sorting the bloody thing out here. Right. At this time period, this is where my specialties come in. This is where I started to really hardcore research into German flying saucers or Nazi flying saucers. I found this fascinating round about college time. I remember one of the students was like, have you heard about German flying saucers? I was like, no. I was like, yeah, they built anti-gravity flying saucers. And he was showing me all these like documents and all that. I thought, that's just bloody crazy. This is crazy. And at that time, I was researching online. And through the years of researching German flying saucers, I realized that the internet only gets you so far when it comes to research. It comes to like a full stop in like certain avenues. And after like a few years of sort of going, well, where am I going with this? Is there really any evidence to back up whether or not the Germans, in fact, built anti-gravity flying saucers? And then I started buying the books, the publications, and I think I've got it here. There we go. There's a little excerpt of my German flying saucers. This is only a very small handful that I can fit on my desk. That goes into great detail about this conspiracy. And I was quite mind blown by the fact that it goes into like different avenues. And depending which avenue you go down, you tend to get lost in the puzzles. I mean, for instance, I look at this German flying saucer conspiracy as it's like a 10,000 piece puzzle, right? And you're trying to figure it out, and then someone comes along and puts another 5,000 piece puzzle, and I'm like, okay, let's try and figure this out. And then someone else comes along and puts another 5,000 piece puzzle. And your main job, or my main job, was to go back and try to figure out the first puzzle. It goes down so many different avenues, and I'm trying to figure out like what is the foundation of this conspiracy. And after I know well over 10 years going back 2007, that's how long I've been looking into it. I can finally understand where these stories come from, where did it all start, and this is what I'm going to bring to Alien Addict. No other YouTube channel is going to do what I'm going to be doing, okay? I'm going to break down the German flying saucer conspiracy from A to Z. I can break this down like you won't believe. Honestly, there's information that no one really knows about. I mean, if we go to like the top corner here, we've got Joseph Andreas Epp that built his Omega disc. We've got the Rudolf Schriever, who's there. Giuseppe Belluzzo, an Italian scientist who created this spinning sort of top. I mean, if you want to talk about German flying saucers, these German flying discs that were created first. We've got the Haunebu flying saucers, Victor Schauberger, obviously Maria Orsic. We've got the Hubble and Schriever discs. We've got the Bell Project. We've got the Foo Fighters. It goes like literally all over the place. And this is what I'm going to bring to Alien Addict. I'm going to take everything I've learned over the past well over 10 years of research on primarily books. I mean, here's one book for you I'm going to bring up. This took me 15 years to get. Hold on. You want to know about, I mean, I'm not going to dedicate now talking about German flying saucers. I just want to get you to understand of where I'm coming from with this when it comes to research. This is the original book on Maria Orsic, how Naboo flying sources, the anti-gravity flying sources. This is so rare to get. I mean, like I said, it took me 15 years to get my hands on this. It's called the Vril Project, Dad's Vril Project. And this is where all the stories came from how Naboo and Vril flying sources, Maria Orsic, the Vril Society, linked to the Tula Gazelle shaft. I mean, it goes like literally all over the place. So twice a month, what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about these flying discs and Foo Fighters and anti-gravity flying saucers, like break the whole conspiracy down for you. I'm very, very excited to do this. Like I said, no other YouTube channel has even touched this. And I'm going to go into absolute, like the balls, tits and ass, like literally balls, tits and ass of this conspiracy. So by the end of the year, you can understand the whole foundation of Nazi flying saucers. In fact, if I got time today, I bought this publication not long ago. It's called that. I'll bring it off full screen. And I got this from America. Just checking on everything. All right. Cool. Right. Yeah, I got that. Nazi UFOs, secret bases exposed by Dr. Frank E. Strange. And in here, it mentions like psychics. Okay, so I'm trying to track back, for instance, Maria Orsic, who is that lady there, Maria Orsic. She only came out in that book I showed you in 1991. So I'm trying to find if there's any evidence that, you know, psychics were involved at before 1991. And there's actually one in this publication here, which if I got time later, I'll bring it up, but I've got so much to talk about today, guys. So much to talk about. So yeah, I've got a load of publication on German flying saucers, which I'm going to go into great detail. Right, that's that. That's a bit out of the day. And what else have I got? I think I got everything. Yep, rare books. Okay. So that is basically me in a nutshell, where I've come from through research. So I'm not new to the community, so to speak, you know what I mean? Let's move on to like current day. Where is ufology at the current day? We all know about the 2017 newspaper article from the New York Times in the Pentagon basically saying, look, UFOs are real. Okay. And since then, from 2017 to where we are now, there's been this like slow drip disclosure. You know what I mean? Well, that's what I keep on hearing. But as going back to like 2007, I started to notice that, oh, there's not really any like hardcore evidence coming out, especially the MOD documents that Nick Pope was talking about in 2007. And I looked through it online. I was going, it doesn't really prove anything. You know, I'm sure these are stories and testimonies, but it's not really leading to anything disclosure related. So let's move into 2017, and that's where things started to really kick off. I started to get into it properly when I heard that Tom DeLonge was the ufologist of the year, and I was going, huh? Sure, he knows his stuff, but I wouldn't call him a ufologist at all. You know what I mean? And I started to know the cracks started to change, and over the years, especially me on being an Alien Addict and sort of paying a close attention to ufology, it is an absolute complete shit show. I think more damage has been done to ufology in the last 5 years than ever before. We have led to more questions than answers. I mean, just take this scenario, for instance. Take from 2017 to where we are now in 2025. How far have we got to disclosure? Okay, we've got congressional hearings. Okay, yeah, we're seeing things in the sky. But at the same time, is that mass hysteria? But where is the evidence to back everything up? Where are the actual documents? And so to speak, oh, well, look at Arrow. Yeah, but look at Arrow now. I mean, massive disgradation from what they put out last year in terms of putting out information saying, oh, there's no UFOs visiting this planet. I'm just going through the people involved in ufology who sort of insert themselves into ufology. And it seems that the conversation is being pushed in a different direction. And I said this on Alien Addict. I was saying, is the conversation going in the right direction? And I think at the time they were saying about, at that time period, what we were speaking about. But I think the overall conversation of ufology is just being pushed in different directions. And everyone's fighting with each other. Everyone's angry. Everyone's pissed off. It's like, hold on a minute. We're on the same team here. What's going on? But also you get the skeptics, you got the hardcore believers, you get the backslappers, people like me were saying, look, there is really no disclosure happening. You could say there's some sort of psyop going on, but something is not right. Something is not right. I keep on hearing, oh, we're getting disclosure soon from, go figure, the Lou Elizondos, the UFO fan club, so to speak. And I'm just taking I'm one of those people that just takes a step back and I observe what's going on. And I go, something's not right. Something is definitely not right. And I would agree with Tim Burchett, and I forgot to put this on video as well. He was saying that some sort of three-letter agency is sort of infiltrating to push the conversation in a different direction. What's disclosure? Disclosure means different things now when you look at it. I've always known from, I've got like UFO book magazines here. I mean, this was one. There we go. Right. So you all know Stephen Greer. We all love Stephen Greer, right? Him with his bloody chest out. Back in 2001, talking about the Disclosure Project. And that was a pretty big thing back in the day, okay? Before a couple of months later, and then a big event happened. But I have the original magazine, okay? From that time period. And this is from June of 2001. 3 months before the building turns to dust. And here is a UFO magazine. I read the title, The Truth is Coming, Disclosure. Washington, D.C., 9th of May, 2001. And I'm reading through this. And the same stuff in this book is the same thing as that's been happening now. Like, there's like nothing new. You could treat congressional hearings as a bit like the Disclosure Project. But, okay, you're getting government officials, talking about UFOs. But at the same time, where are they getting their evidence from? Testimonies is one thing. I think that's a sort of a weak form of evidence. It really is, isn't it? When you look at it, that's what we call hearsay. Trust me, bros. We are at that stage now, 2005. We need evidence. I need proof. Look at the camera shaking. I'll do that. I need something to go by, which leads to, which is a great segue, to David Grosh. Where the hell is he gone now? Jake Barber. So let's bring up Twitter, which is where we get all our information from now, isn't it? Where are you to? Oh, this, look. Read the title. We know what you did. Yeah, you may look a bit suspicious. Look, you're smiling and you raise your eyebrows. We know. We know, mate. Okay, let's look at this footage. Spooky music. Okay, Jake Barber. Let's just talk about him for a bit. And then we're going to talk about Foo Fighters. So, right. Okay, let's just get a perspective here. Am I going to crap on this guy? No, I'm not. Okay. He has come forward. He has given his claims. Plus, we have a video that goes along with it. Listening to his stories, he seems quite a legit guy, even though his eyes is a bit like he don't blink. City Diva, would you say that's something a bit like weird, isn't it? If you're in chat. I don't know. When someone doesn't blink their eyes, I wouldn't say they're on the spectrum, but untrustworthy, would you say? I don't know. It's just like, for Christ's sake, blink, for Christ's sake. So, but saying that, he seems legit, and he did say he had some sort of a spiritual experience, and he did get quite emotional at some point. And I'm not going to discredit that. But what I am going to discredit is this footage. Because the day before this came out, this was a Saturday. Yeah, I remember it was Saturday. And then the Friday before, I went live and I said, right, this is what's going to happen. The footage will be grainy, it will be crap and blurry, and you ain't going to make out what it is. because I knew this was taken at night, because he was talking about this was taken with a night vision. It was obviously, you picked up this object at night. So I immediately know it was going to be this sort of green night vision style. So that doesn't help. It's a bit like the gimbal and Go Fast. I mean, you're picking up the heat. You're not really seeing the fine detail. I mean, look at our phone cameras now. I mean, I've got a camera out there that's 400 quid, and it can pick up the stars in like bloody 8K. And you're telling me that these helicopters don't have any equipment that can do at least decent night vision, you know? So I did say that was going to happen. Crappy footage. I mean, Twitter had a bloody field day with this, didn't they? They were, I mean, I was listening to the Daily Conspiracy podcast, and Lee was going, you know, I think the egg memes and egg jokes can like stop now. You know, I think people were riding it for what it's worth. And sure, I know we take the piss out of things and all that, but this might be a real alien footage. This might be an actual, for instance, an alien craft, so to speak. And here we are crapping on it. So I tend to be like 50-50 now with this. I don't want to crap on the guy, but we've been here before. Haven't we been here before, guys? Look at Grosh. He was going to, excuse me, he was going to bring up, you know, the 40 whistleblowers. He was going to crack who was, no, what did he say back in the day with News Nation? He was saying he's going to release all the footage. He's going to release where the footage comes from, you know, who were involved, the 40 whistleblowers. And now Grosh is gone, out of the limelight. I don't think you're ever going to see anything with Grosh ever again. That's just my personal opinion. I mean, what's he got to give? Again, it's just like, trust me, bros. So is this a step in the right direction? I would say not really. And I'm going to explain this because these footage here begs more questions than answers, isn't it? What is this thing? You know, can someone please explain to me what this thing is? And you ain't going to get any answers from it. If we say what Jake Barber and his experience, that he was told that this was a extraterrestrial craft, or what they call EBTs, whatever. I can't stand these acronyms, honestly. An extraterrestrial craft. He was told that, but he didn't know specifically himself. He said he had the experience of this overwhelming feeling. He felt like connected to this craft. I don't know, man. Again, I'm not ruling it out, but didn't he? I think I remember rightly that he can communicate with aliens and summon UFOs. Oh, mate, it's like the woohoo stuff like that. You know, I am a woohoo myself, but you got to prove this stuff, man. You got to prove this stuff. I just want better footage. I want some sort of governmental official, and not from bloody News Nation. Even from Arrow, I may not going to contradict myself. You know, I don't believe anything Arrow has done anything good for ufology. It makes me think, why didn't Jake Barber go there and give his testimony, or even go to the congressional hearings that happened, you know, back last year? Because News Nation obviously knew about this guy because they had him on the show promoting his, I think it was his business, wasn't it? So they knew what was happening, and they knew the lead up to this News Nation special report came out on Saturday. And even Stephen Greer came forward and said, look, something big's going to happen. Disclosure's going to happen. And saying, I mean, look at like Ross Coulthard was saying, yeah, groundbreaking footage, extraordinary footage. So bloody big, you had to put a building around it. Not buying it. And this just does more damage than what it's worth. It really is. And I just find it frustrating. I really do now. I really do find it frustrating. I just want some clarity. I want some transparency. That's what I want. I'm sick and tired of just like hearsays, and you know, I hate to sound like other YouTube channels. I really am. I want to be a positive. I want Alien Ant to be positive, but there's things that has got to be said. And then the people in chat, I think, would agree with me. You know, I think ufology is in a terrible state. A terrible state, like England. You know, me and the missus, we went to a conference not long ago, and this Australian lady, like, she came here, she lived in this country for 3 months. She goes, oh, England's great. I love it here. It's brilliant. I'm just like looking at her and going, England's a state. It's an absolute state, but she's completely unaware. You know, it's a bit like people in chat, like me and you. You know, we're aware of these situations. We're saying, look, no, well, actually, because X, Y, and Z, this is why things are not really good. Again, I really hope things will change, but I don't think so. I really don't think anything's going to change anytime soon. A good point that Lee did mention on the Daily Conspiracy podcast. Let's just plug the boys one more time, because they are my, well, they call me the sister channel, Alien Addict, the sister channel, and they're the brother channel, which I kindly accept. Reptilians don't take days off, but they do die because the Queen's dead. And she was definitely reptilian. Let's bring that alien back up again. There we go. So yeah, that is my thoughts on the current day ufology. I finding it frustrating, annoying. We're just going around in circles. But the point I was going to say, what Lee was going to say, we are seeing more things in the sky, aren't we? We are definitely seeing more things in the sky. This kind of leads to what, like the drone situation that happened. If you've been following me and Hidden Underbelly, which we did a few live streams on the drone situation, I came to the conclusion that mass hysteria did play a big part in that. Okay. I'm an experienced sky watcher. I'm not like an expert, but I know what satellites, planes, helicopters, etc. I always, especially like Starlink satellite, I always know what's in the sky. But what I was seeing, okay, was a lot of misidentification. And I feel like a lot of people jumped on the bandwagon because in one respect, I mean, looking at like UFOs is exciting. Is that if you're new to ufology or to like sky watching, you're really excited. You're seeing things that you don't really know. So you got to apply that to what was a drone situation, which is gone now. And I did say that in my live stream. I did say that. I said that like months ago when the drone situation was happening. I said, look, by the new year, people had forgotten about it. There'd be another thing that's been happening. I mean, you could point to any distraction, well, the California fires or anything like that, which is absolutely horrendous. Situation happening. So you could point to any situation saying, oh, it's an actual distraction. So yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens for the rest of the year. We're seeing more things in the sky, but is it exactly extraterrestrial craft? But this is the whole point of Alien Addicts. We're going to break things down and sort of get to the nitty gritty of things. And we will see what happens. We need less balls of light and more craft. But I've come to the conclusion, especially the footage that I have seen, like these balls of light that we tend to spot, which should be ruled out because I've noticed that in the past couple of years that these balls of light we can see through the past, God knows, like hundreds of years are in paintings and especially, well, throughout the decades, we've seen, especially the Foo Fighters, as I'll talk about in a minute. So these balls of light have been going on for a long period of time, and I don't think we should rule it out. I know it's just a very common thing we see in the sky. It's like, well, it doesn't really prove any extraterrestrials. Sure, I understand that. But maybe they're interdimensional. Possibility. Who knows? Who knows? That's my new theory on that one. And I've sort of slowly came into the realization. So, oh, actually, I think there's probably more to it. Take 8 grams of mushrooms and then come back to me. We'll have a spiritual awakening or something like that. Let's get into the chat. I want to see you guys because you guys are really, really important at the moment. Hello, lady I may know. Military drones, surely. Yeah, I mean, Trump did say he's going to release the information on the drones. In fact, when he was sat signing all the legislations, he did turn to his secretary saying, "We've got anything on the drone situation?" So hopefully, I mean, whether or not it's going to be the right information, though, this is it. If it's military, are they going to tell what they've actually been doing? And this is the other thing. If the drones have been flying around, they've been going along for the past, I don't know, few years, what has it done to the public? I think the more fear-mongering that was done was the UFO community. Well, they know these drones are from China, they can trap bombs to it, and et cetera, et cetera. It's like, sounds a bit like fear-mongering to me, you know what I mean? Now, if these drones have been going a long time and it hasn't really affected the public, why all of a sudden it's a threat? Do you know what I mean? It's just like, it just doesn't really seem right, in my opinion. This episode is amazing, Nick. Oh, Rotary. Hey, Rotary. How's it going, bruv? You're a breath of fresh air in a... See what I mean? See what I mean? Okay, I'm not going to read chat. I'm going to read it in my brain, and then I'll just answer the question. Thank you, Rotary. I much appreciated, mate. I read in 420. Practice makes perfect. But no, thank you, Rotary. Honestly, mate, you've been like such a like pleasure to be around. You're always nice. You're always there when the chat is active and everything. I really do appreciate being here on a regular basis, especially with me and Hidden. Fire Moon 42. Oh, okay. I'll look into that. I'll definitely look into that. I've got to read the chat. I can't stay in silence. This is terrible. Christina Whistler. I live about 40 minutes from the fires. I am saddened. Yeah, I tell you what. I truly feel for the people, especially the mismanagement that's been happening. I mean, there's no bloody water. And I saw a clip from Bill Burr blaming the internet. Oh, thanks, internet. It's like, hold on a minute. It's like, I understand the internet can be shitty, but look, there was no water supply in the hydrants. I think the firefighters could do the best that they can for what they actually had. I mean, a total mismanagement, and it's horrendous to see the footage. And it's been going on for weeks. But yeah, my thoughts and prayers for everyone in California. Is absolutely terrible. And yeah, stay safe, Christina. Stay safe, darling. Rebecca, helicopters have mounted cameras, so why is not clear picture? Yeah, back to the phone. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the night vision cameras, you would have thought if you're in part of a crash retrieval program, you would have thought the technology would have been at least a bit better. So yeah, you would have thought, right. Oh, Godstopper. I find it hard to believe all these fires are accidental. Bear in mind, I've never been to Los Angeles, sort of the climate wise. I mean, it's not like Florida when I've heard it's like quite humid, but if it is dry and that wind picks it up, it's a bit like a wick when you look at it, it's anything dry conditions like that. But for being accidental, mate, I don't believe in coincidences anymore, Godstopper. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't be surprised. There was no water in California. End of. Yeah, terrible situation. Hey, John Adventures, how's it going, man? Thanks for being here. Yo. Right, else we got in chat? Again, I don't like to talk about weaknesses, but man, my reading is just. I think it's like nerves as well. That plays a big part in that. But appreciate everyone in chat. It's 52 people. And please like and subscribe. That'd be much appreciated. Let's bring Alien Addict to 13,000 subscribers by the middle of this year. If we can do that, that'd be much appreciated. That's on my part as well, because I've got to push that content out there. So that is my overall thesis on ufology. Is disclosure going to happen? No. Anytime soon? No. I wish it would, but no. Right, what we're going to do? What have I got on the list here? Because I always come prepared. I always got a right list. Did that. I got rare books, puzzles, sorts of. Okay, we did the egg thing. Anything I missed there? Okay, let's get into the main topic of today. So, Mysterion. Yes, brother. So, Foo Fighters. We've all heard of Foo Fighters. Let's bring up Foo Fighters. Solid. Let's put me on full screen. There we go. I'm going to go funny. Way, look at that. Let's tap in Foo Fighters. And I guarantee it's going to put up with the band. Of course it did. World War II. I'm not a fan of Foo Fighters. Get out. I've never found them interesting, in my personal opinion. I never found their music intriguing or anything like that. Right, Foo Fighters. What is the Foo Fighters? They're extraterrestrial, according to the History Channel. Of course, one would believe that. But Foo Fighters could be traced back to. Hold on, just checking things. All right. Yep. Okay. So Foo Fighters were a strange phenomena that will happen from 1940 to 1945. Yes, we're all going all the way back to that. And these were appearing in the skies above Germany. And this strange phenomena was spotted by the 450 Night Fighter Squadron that noticed these balls of light tracking Allied bombing formations. Okay. So the crew members on board would describe these balls of light as Christmas tree ornaments in the sky. And the Germans would call these Feuerballs, which means fireballs, or Kugelblitzels. But we know them as Foo Fighters. Okay? Foo Fighters. Let's get that out and stop that. And because I've got a load of photographs and documents. Yeah, I'm literally going to shove everything in your face today. It's going to be a jam-packed next hour. I don't know how long it's going to be. I'm just going to chuck it in there. And once I finish, we'll go through chat and you can hear my poorly reading skills once more before we end the show. All right, where are we going? Where are we going for this one? Let's bring up photographs. Photographs. Hold on, guys, 2 seconds. Pictures. Foo Fighters. All right. There we go. Okay. So I've got a load of photographs to show you. And it gets to show what I'm like when it comes to research. I've got to show stuff, I'm just that sort of a researcher. Let's put it a bit bigger. Not me. There we go. Okay. So this is a newspaper article dating back, I think it was 1943, 44, near the end stage of the war. Okay, like I said, these around about 1944, these newspaper reports started to come out about these balls of light, and it wasn't too sure what they were. Obviously, now we're talking about History Channel. They're saying that these are extraterrestrials, but at the time, ladies and gentlemen, Foo Fighters were believed to be these, ideally like these probes or some sort of military device that the Germans had created, and they were sort of experimenting in the sky. Okay. So this is pretty much in the New York Times. Here's another one here. You can see silver balls floating in the air, Nazi newest war device. Okay. And I am going to bring up documents. Oh, yeah, here it is. Rare newspaper cutting from December 1944. Note how the report was heavily censored. Yeah, most probably. Yeah, I mean, some reports I've seen on the sort of American side of newspapers, that some of them has been redacted, a bit like the JFK file was about to come out. Again, yeah, so here's more newspaper articles on this. So at the time of around about 1943, you started to notice these balls of light that were tracking Allied aircraft, and they couldn't figure out what it was. And again, the Americans would describe, well, from the documents I've been reading, and I think some of them I'm going to bring up, talking about miracle weapon systems. This is the name they started to give this new weaponry that the Germans were developing. Okay. And the Americans and the English were fully aware of what the Germans were actually doing, and they were trying to spy on what the Germans were actually creating, because they were well ahead of advance in terms of aviation and weaponry, armament, etc. And I'm not glorifying the Nazis here. It's just that's just the truth. They were literally well ahead of advance in practically everything when you look at it. And the thing is with Foo Fighters, we actually have photographs of it. This is a very typical example of a Foo Fighter, okay, like these balls of light. But there's one photograph I need to explain because it's going to get you thinking, okay? Where are we to here? Oh, yeah, miracle weapon systems. So the first real... Oh, yeah, actually, I'll tell you what. So where the name Foo Fighter came from, this was an old comic back in the 1920s called Smokey Stover, the Foolish Foo Fighter. And what actually was this firefighter that would accidentally set fire to things. and he was called the Foo Fighter, and that's where the name came from. Poo Bombs was another one, but we get to that when we get to the documents. But that's where Foo Fighter came from. It came from this comic, and eventually it just stuck. So this is what I want to talk about when it terms of, don't worry, we'll get to that Mysterion. Okay, we'll get that in a bit. Okay, but yeah, what I'm about to talk about, it's not really talked about in ufology, this device that Foo Fighters were, but we're just going to be talking about it, okay? And I was going to say, all my research based is on books, and we'll talk about it in a second. This is a television camera from the 1936 German Open Ceremony. And here's another one here. It's like a flipping cannon, isn't it? Look how big it is. This is 1936. And during the Belgium Olympics it was in Belgium at the time. These games were actually televised live, and people would go to theaters and watch the games being shown. So this is how big the camera was in 1936. In a less of a span of 10 years, they managed to take this technology and put it into the size of a shoebox. And we know this because the V1 and V2 rockets that were sent from oh my god, name dropping me, Pedemunda. So the V1 and V2 rockets is what blew the crap out of this country. Obviously, Werner von Braun was the head of that. And some of these bombs, I think it was the V2 rockets, some of them haven't exploded. They were literally like sitting there. So the British will actually take these missiles, take it apart, trying to find out how these missiles were actually worked. And then when they took the tips out, they found this, and they're going, "What's this? This is a camera." And this was the first television guided cameras. This is 1944, for Christ's sake. This is what the Germans were doing. But the point I'm trying to get is that they managed to miniaturize this technology. Look, from that to that in a span of, less than 10 years. Okay. Probably 10 years that ran about that sort of time period. So it shows you how advanced they were, really. So when we're talking about Foo Fighters, it kind of matches up to what the technology was being built at the time. Okay. Here is, I'm going to talk about this in a minute. All right. Don't take that seriously. Don't take that seriously. Right. I tell you what, let me put it full screen because I'm going to show you the books that everything I'm going to be talking about today is based upon. Okay. No internet research. Maybe 2 videos, but pretty much regurgitates what's in these books. So let's start off where it all started from. This book here called Intercept UFOs by Renato Vesco. And this book came out in 1971. People say it was in 1974, but this came out in 1971. And Renato Vesco was an Italian engineer and an aviation journalist who wrote this book talking about Foo Fighters and amongst other sort of technologies being built, but Foo Fighters being a device. The whole purpose was it to actually down military aircraft. Okay, I'm gonna have an excerpt from this so you can understand. Actually, a beautiful woman who is AI generated with massive tits is going to be reading this. Yes, I'm not joking. Professionalism here, Nick. Professionalism. So yeah, this is Intercept UFO by Renato Vesco, which talks about Foo Fighters in 1971. There is another book I definitely recommend called Man-Made UFOs 1944 to 1994. And it actually has Renato Vesco's book in here, but it also has some other excerpts of Foo Fighters as well. Big, thick book for if you're a big fan of UFOs and especially old style UFOs. What else we got here? Right. Oh, so many bloody books. Right. Thirdly, Hitler's Flying Saucers by Henry E. Stevens. This is the original. And this is the reprint that has more additional information. So I've been taking extracts from Hitler's Flying Saucers by Henry Stevens. That came out in 2005, I believe. And last but not least, a very important book. And I will need to get a follow-up episode on this and need to get this guy on. And if you are watching, Graham, I would love to have you on. And it's this, UFOs Before Roswell, European Foo Fighters from 1940 to 1945. And the author is Graham Randall. I have to get him on the show because he's the only person that I'm aware of in England has actually gone into the National Archives and wrote a book on Foo Fighters. I think it is. There's loads of pages, and it has all the reports of Foo Fighters in here. So this will be probably like another follow-up to Foo Fighters, because I want to try and apply what the Germans were developing, whether or not I can actually find it in today's day and age. So I think we need to do a follow-up. But yeah, got that one there. And we've got Renato Vesco's book and all those books there. Okay, so this is the book of reference that I've done. Remember, this is no internet research. Okay, not saying internet research is a bad thing. It's not. It's just I'm an old school person when it comes to old school cases. I like books. I think it's like buying a CD, a band that you like. You know, I try not to get digital. I always try to buy, like, you want to see, you know, with the band, you want to have like the slip that goes with it, you see all the lyrics and the artwork. I appreciate that. That's just me, my personal opinion. Right, let's get on with Foo Fighters. Where are we to? There we go. Can we put bigger? There we go. Right. Okay, so let's, based on this research on Renato Vesco's book, and see what he says. Yeah, so he was an Italian scientist, aviation engineer and journalist, and he came forward in, like I said, in 1971, claiming that Foo Fighters was designed by the SS Technical General Staff at the Department of Technical and Mechanical Development. Okay. These were built at the Aeronautic Institute in Vienna in the, oh my God, I can pronounce this, the Openhappenhofen, where they developed the radio systems for the Luftwaffe. And this, I would imagine, anything top secret related would have been in the hands of Hans Kammler. Does anybody know who Hans Kammler is? Okay. As I could do that, and I can do pretty much anything on the StreamYard. Hans Kammler. Because you want to know where Hitler went? You need to find Hans Kammler, because he was the head of all the top secret programs for the SS. Where is he? Let's bring him up. Okay. Hans Kammler. He went missing after the war, never to be found again. So it was Hans Kammler. We had Martin Bormann, and who was the other one? Hitler. The Mustachio Man all went missing, never to be seen again, except for the Mustachio Man, who was in Argentina at the time. But if you want to know where Mustachio Man went, I think you need to track this guy, Hans Kammler. He was head of all top secret programs for the SS, and he would have knew about even like German flying saucers and stuff like that, anything related to anything advanced technology. Hans Kammler would have been definitely involved in that. So find Hans Kammler and you'll find the Mustachio Man, so to speak. Fire Moon. The Nazi UFOs were circular helicopters designed by the Czechs. Yeah, I did see early designs of that. I got a book on early circular disc-shaped craft. But that concept, mate. But yeah, you are right. When we talk about German flying saucers, but yeah, it's technically you'd be called German flying discs, because they were circular shaped, a bit like a helicopter, like a supersonic helicopter. But you're very right, Fire Moon 42. Very, very right. So again, you find out where these Foo Fighters came from. Again, you want to find Hans Kammler, and at the end of the war, the Foo Fighters were relocated underground facility in the Black Forest in Austria due to the Russian front start to approaching. And you would find that with a lot of V1 and V2 rockets, they were actually put underground and developed underground because you had the English and American front sort of approaching in. So was the Russians. So what is a Foo Fighter? We've got another vote. There we go. And so don't take it seriously. I'll get to that in a minute. So Foo Fighters were described as according to Renato Vesco's book, was an original flying machine that was powered by a special turbojet engine that was flat, and it was unarmed and pilotless. It was radio controlled from the moment of takeoff. It would automatically follow the enemy fighters by attracting to its exhaust fumes. I'm going to get to that in a minute. So we have all this strange technology going on. There's unarmed. It's in one way some sort of probe. Okay. So this is according to Renato Vesco. I tell you what, as I spent ages creating like an AI voice to read an excerpt from this book, and I'm going to do that now because how am I going to read that? I'm not going to read that. Okay, right, here we go. And this is about 4 minutes long, and I bloody hope this works. Okay, if I do, or shall I do it on my channel? What shall I do? It's weird. It's like StreamYard don't let you. It'll play videos, but you won't hear the audio, and I need the audio to be played. Okay.
The anti-radar Feuerball.
Can you guys hear that? You should be able to hear that. Right. I'm going to play it, and can you guys hear
The news of the
it?
third massive appearance of the flying saucers. In 1950, the Foo Fighters reappeared on the
Yes.
scene.
Thank you,
this
John.
time
Cheers, mate.
cited by
Okay, right. Thank you,
the
John. Appreciate it,
anti-radar
mate.
Feuerball.
Ah, wait, shut up. Right, okay.
The anti-radar.
Shut up. Thank you. Right, okay. So on page 88, this is called the anti-radar Feuerball. And Feuerballs means fireballs, because the Night Fighter Squadron, the 450 Fighter Fighter Squadron, would say that these balls of light look like fireballs or Christmas tree ornaments or some sort of, you could say, plasma. We'll get that into a minute. So this is an excerpt from Renato Vesco's book. Let's turn this up. This is about 4 minutes long, so you can understand what a Foo Fighter is, okay? And we'll talk about it afterwards.
The anti-radar Feuerball. With the news of the third massive appearance of the flying saucers, in 1950, the Foo Fighters reappeared on the scene, this time cited by ufologists as proof that Martian observers were present in the skies during the last war. Since the idea of extraterrestrial observers clashes with the most elementary horse sense, let us rummage about for a while among the German secrets of the last days of the war, with special reference to that category of secrets which, for reasons of military expedience, even today preserves in whole or in part its shadowy and malefic character. In the autumn of 1954, in Oberammergau in Bavaria, the OBF, an experimental center run by the Luftwaffe, had completed a series of researches into electrical apparatuses capable of interfering with the operation of an engine up to a maximum distance of about 100 feet by producing intense electromagnetic fields. If the ignition system of a plane's engine could be short-circuited, the plane would be bound to crash. In order to make the invention a practical proposition, the German technicians proposed to at least triple the radius of action of this weapon, but when the conflict ended, researches along those lines had been barely sketched out. In the meantime, as a byproduct of these researches that could be put to immediate use in the war, another center, run by Speer and the SS Technical General Staff, had adopted the idea of employing proximity radio interference on the very much more delicate and hence more vulnerable electronic apparatuses of the American night fighters. Thus a highly original flying machine was born. It was circular and armored, more or less resembling the shell of a tortoise, and was powered by a special turbojet engine, also flat and circular, whose principles of operation were called the well-known Eolipile of Hero, which generated a great halo of luminous flames. Hence it was named Feuerball, Fireball. It was unarmed and pilotless. Radio-controlled at the moment of takeoff, it then automatically followed enemy aircraft, attracted by their exhaust flames, and approached close enough without collision to wreck their radar gear. The fiery halo around its perimeter, caused by a very rich fuel mixture and the chemical additives that interrupted the flow of electricity by overionizing the atmosphere in the vicinity of the plane, generally around the wingtips or tail surfaces, subjected the H-2S radar on the plane to the action of powerful electrostatic fields and electromagnetic impulses, the latter generated by large klystron radio tubes protected with special anti-shock and anti-heat armor. Since a metal are carrying an oscillating current of the proper frequency equal that is, to the frequency used by the radar station, can cancel the blips, return signals from the target. The Feuerball was almost undetectable by the most powerful American radar of the time, despite its nighttime visibility. In addition, the builders of the device hoped, and their hopes were fulfilled, that when the Allied flyers, not knowing their nature or purpose, noticed that the fiery balls were apparently harmless, they would not fire on these enormous-looking, because of their large halos of fire, inoffensive devices for fear of being caught in some gigantic explosion. More than once, in fact, as they fearfully watched those huge lights close in, the American pilots thought that some German technician on the ground was perhaps getting ready to push a button and cause the Foo Fighter to explode. Project Feuerball was first constructed at the aeronautical establishment at Wiener Neustadt, with the help of the Flugfunkforschungsanstalt of Oberpfaffenhofen, FFO, insofar as radio control of the missile was concerned. But was it really a missile? One person who saw the first short test flights of the device, without its electrical gear, says that during the day it looked like a shining disk spinning on its axis, and during the night it looked like a burning globe. Hermann Göring inspected the progress of the work a number of times, for he hoped, as in fact it happened, that the mechanical principle could later also be used to produce an offensive weapon capable of revolutionizing the whole field of aerial warfare. When the Russians began to press on toward Austria, the construction of the first fireballs was apparently continued by a number of underground plants in the Schwarzwald that were run by the Zeppelinwerke. The Klystron tubes were supplied by the section of the Forschungsanstalt der Deutschen Reichspost, FDRP, of Ochbay Radolfzell on Lake Constance, and later also by the FDRP section of Gelberg, whose products, however, were not as perfect as those delivered by the FDRP, a fact that caused a number of fireballs to be used simultaneously in formation.
And there we go. That is according to Renato Vesco's book about Foo Fighters. Let's bring up a Foo Fighter. I think it's quite interesting about this because it's what you putting through chat here. It's pretty good. Yeah, Moody. This I would describe like an exotic effect of a Foo Fighter as the early direct energy weapons. And Fireman 42 says Tesla designed these in 1920. Great information. If you've got any information, guys, chuck it my way because this is one thing that I forgot to do. I was focusing on the Foo Fighter itself, the device, but is there any link before or after this sort of device was actually tested? Now, if we went to Renato Vesco's book, what we just listened to, and said that the Klystron tube inside would basically what a Foo Fighter is. I think I need to explain what a Foo Fighter, what the whole purpose is that the Germans, instead of actually shooting the planes down from the ground up into the sky, they had these probes, these devices that looked like a tortoise shell, and they would launch these from the ground and they would follow bombing formations. And what they would do, these devices will sit on the tips of the wings of the aircraft, and the Klystron tube inside will give off a very strong magnetic field, and it will interrupt the ignition systems of the aircraft. Eventually it will malfunction, eventually fall out of the sky and crash. So in one way, I wouldn't be surprised if the Germans actually managed to do this. In a way, it's like a air-to-ground missile, so to speak, isn't it? But you're not actually shooting it out. You're actually using a electrostatic impulse to actually fluctuate the ignition systems of the aircraft. And it's quite clever when you think about it. And the US knew the Germans were doing something like that at the time. So yeah, if you've got any more information, guys, in terms of if look up the death ray. This is interesting, Fire Moon. John Trump, who came in and took his patents, I'm not too sure if all the patents got released, but the death ray was definitely made. I mean, do you know what? I guess if you're dealing with some sort of impulse, you really are looking into like Nikola Tesla sort of wireless technology. I mean, especially like what Moody was saying is that it's like the first direct energy weapon. The Japanese were given German radar tech during World War II. Germans sent U-boats there. There were lots of tech. Yeah, I mean, this is what I mean, we won't go there yet, but Mysterion was mentioning that the fact that these were, I mean, this is what Professor Simon Holland was saying, that is most likely did something to do with radar. But this is the thing, reading through reports, you actually find out that these were actually disc-shaped craft. So when the Foo Fighter was launched from the ground and it went up, there were reports that these look like shining discs. They look like literally disc-shaped objects. And there are actually reports of that from the crew members. And as it got to a certain altitude, it would actually ionize with the atmosphere. Okay, so this is like an old klystron tube that you find in like guitar amps and stuff like that. But the Germans were developing a new type of klystron tube. I need to go into more detail into this. I've really skipped over quite a lot of things, but what they find out when you see the levels of atmosphere here, we've got the metosphere and the thermosphere and obviously the stratosphere. But as soon as it gets to a certain level, the Foo Fighter will actually change color to a green or orange. And this sort of makes sense, you know, depending on the altitude of the aircraft at the time. So this is a very prime example of the ionization of the Foo Fighter. Now you're probably thinking, well, what's actually making it ionized? Well, we'll get to that in a minute. 2 seconds. Right, I just need to find out where I were. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so inside the Foo Fighter was what made it shine like a diamond was, again, the klystron tube was inserted and it was protected by an anti-shock, anti-heat armor. It is believed that the klystron tube would produce a very powerful magnetic impulse that would affect the radar tracking system, as well as blocking out a proximity radio interface that will cancel out any radio radar input signals, basically. The Foo Fighter propulsion system, like they mentioned in the book, that it was circular jet engine. I believe the only jet engine that was being produced during the Second World War in Germany would have been the Heinkel factory, which were basically where they're producing the jet engines. And you think near the end of the war, the perfection of especially the V2 rocket, rocket propulsion was like the main focus, isn't it? I mean, we look at the aircraft that was being built at the time, we realize dealing with that sort of aspect of rocket propulsion, which was the Heinkel factory. I think the guy's name was Ernest Heinkel, I believe. I believe that's what the name was. Yeah, so that's where the jet engine would probably have been produced. But this is the thing with a Foo Fighter, is the halo effect due to it being ionized into the atmosphere. Excuse me. Excuse me. So what, according to Renato Vesco, as you heard in that AI generated voice, I should have put it in English, but that sounded a lot better. No offense, Americans. I just realized it was American, but the English sounds just a little bit better. But it was talking about that it was using a fuel mixture, and we'll get to that fuel mixture in a minute when I bring up the documents. Very, very fascinating. So I don't know. It doesn't really go into detail what fuel mixture. Hey, Alien Girl 111. Oh no, it's Good Morning UFOs. You changed the name. Thanks for being on here. I appreciate you being here, and I love your show, by the way. I've got a comment, but I do listen to you every lunchtime when I'm at work. But no, thanks for being on here, Amy. It's Amy, isn't it? There we go. But yeah, great show, by the way. And you're very, very sweet lady. Very sweet lady. But everyone go check out Good Morning UFOs. She deserves as much love as Alien Addict. So yeah, go back to the Foo Fighter. It had a very strong fuel mixture. And as it oh, that's right. My pleasure. My pleasure. We've got to help our fellow YouTube channels out, especially UFO ones. So yeah, the fuel mixture doesn't really go into specifics until the document I'm going to bring up in a minute. So this would ionize the atmosphere, like I told about it going to like certain different atmospheres. You get a green, orange, or a yellow, or sometimes blue. But the fighters were saying that these were more or less orange shaped. Okay. And also the speed of these allegedly probes traveled at 525 miles an hour. Okay, right. Focus your attention on this. This is a very classic photograph of a Foo Fighter. I tried to get the clearest one as possible. Unfortunately, when I zoom in, I tend to lose their pixelation. Right, let's just zoom out. Okay, this is a typical Foo Fighter. Okay, have you ever seen a jet fighter when it breaks the sound barrier? It produces like this halo effects around the aircraft. Ever seen that before? When it breaks the sound barrier, it actually produces like this, like circular halo effect. Like, well, it's a bit like cloud. It looks like a cloud going over the aircraft. I think this is what we're actually seeing. Okay, I think this probe, if it is a probe, it's actually breaking the sound barrier, because we do have pictures of Foo Fighters. Hold on, right now, so the documents. Where are we to? Yeah, I mean, they look like balls of light, but like balls of fire. But this one looks quite interesting. Okay, right, ignore that. We'll get to that in a minute. But for me, you could say that this device, so to speak, is actually breaking the sound barrier. Yeah, I would say Vortex. Yeah, that's yeah, yeah, you pretty much bang on that one. Yeah, alien scientist, how's it going, man? Thanks for being on there. I hope you could shine a bit of light onto this as well. Again, it's just all conspiracy theories and stuff like that. So again, the fuel mixture, we get to that in a minute. So it's kind of hard to tell. These are grainy photographs, but we do have footage. Not necessarily. No, we don't have any footage. We actually have photographs of Foo Fighters. But this all boils down to, do we have any evidence of it? And why didn't the Night Fighter Squadron actually shoot them down? And Renato Vesco talks about a different scenarios behind that the fact that any bullets impacting the shell of the Foo Fighter will automatically get out of harm's way. That's one theory. One of the crew members were talking about that, you know, these balls of light can actually outmaneuver the aircraft itself. We'll get into the radar system thingy in a little bit. So it's kind of hard for these like clunky bombers. I think they're like B-52 bombers. They're quite clunky. You know, you couldn't actually do like aeronautics or aerobatics with these sort of aircraft itself. They're just there for like straight sort of cruise running, really. And the other concern was the fact that the crew members were, if they did to shoot this down, the balls of light would actually explode, which will cause more harm than done to the aircraft. So there's many different speculations of what these Foo Fighters actually do. But again, we're talking about the whole purpose was them to actually down military aircraft. So this is just what a Foo Fighter is. There's rarely any evidence to back anything up. However, let's bring up a few videos. I can switch my brain off. Okay, what should we bring up first? Let's bring up UFOs Secrets of the Third Reich. You can find every single German flying saucer documentary on my channel on the Cosmic Twilight. You probably know my theories on anti-gravity flying saucers, what the Germans have made. I'm very skeptic about it. Again, it boils down to evidence. Again, with Foo Fighters, again with the Bell Project. I mean, Bell Project, you actually have some sort of documents to suggest some sort of device was actually created, but we're talking about Foo Fighters here. So this is an extract from a videotape that I don't have 6 copies of, called UFOs Secrets of the Third Reich, that came out in 1994. And this is just a small extract talking about Foo Fighters.
The fiery ball, or the disc-like hovercraft that the Germans were experimenting with during World War II, which was known to American intelligence and yet not really appreciated until the Germans began to cooperate with the Americans following World War II in a unified effort to advance mankind into space.
The Allies described the various German flashing flying aircraft that they saw as Foo Fighters, fireballs. The German name for the typical Foo Fighter, however, was Fliegende Schildkröte, flying tortoise, because of its resemblance to the tortoise shell on the ground. It had been developed by a specialist technical unit of the SS in the Vienna suburb of Wiener Neustadt. It was, in fact, an unmanned flying probe. Its mission was to fly close to enemy aircraft and wreak havoc on the electrical circuits. In addition, it was equipped with a special type of klystron tube. The SS spoke of death rays.
I was a fighter pilot.
I just realized I might get a copyright strike because that bloody music. Never mind, we continue.
In World War II, I served a career of 24 years as a fighter
All right.
pilot.
Okay. Right. Hold on a minute. Hold on. Right. Okay. Let's put me on bigger screen. No. Close enough. That'll do. Right. Graham Randall. This guy here. Not Graham Randall. Wendell C. Stevens. Remember the photographs I showed you? Like the old style photographs? He was pretty much connected to so he's the author of these books. He's got like a load of books he's basically got here. So these are the two like old style photographs of like UFOs, like flying saucers back in 1950s and 60s. He is connected to the Billy Meyer case. And he really put a lot of false claims out there. One way, he sort of became like a victim of UFOs, but back in the 70s when Billy Meyer was really popular, people believed it. But now we're 2025, we look at it going, oh, actually, no, it's just a model on a string. So take what this guy says with just a pinch of salt.
United States Air Force. But I was a young fighter pilot in World War II, and I was a captain in the Air Force near the end of the war. And we began receiving reports sometime in 1943 of Foo Fighters, Feuerball fighters. They were balls of brilliant light, sometimes brilliant green and sometimes brilliant orange light, sometimes the size of a basketball and sometimes much bigger, that would get in formation with our bombers and stay there. Nothing, you couldn't shoot them down. You couldn't, no matter what maneuver we went through, they stayed exactly in position. I had friends who reported these balls of fire appearing outside of the cockpit of a fighter aircraft, only 10 and 15 feet away, and they did every maneuver they could think of, dives and rolls and everything, trying to get rid of this ball of fire out there, and it remained in exactly the same position no matter what they did. This represented a technology far superior to anything that we had encountered anywhere on the planet before. We thought these objects were being manufactured by the German government because they were our opposition at the time, and we thought they had discovered some new technique because we had already experienced other instruments, other vehicles that passed through the bomber formations at very high speed that also had glowing tails. We had close approaches of disc-shaped craft, not as close as one would like, but following bomber formations. We knew that the rockets had been perfected, and we thought that most of these were simply a further extension of this rocket technology. And we believed that they were all being produced someplace by the Germans.
2 seconds. Someone put something quite interesting in chat. Or is it 2? There was a footage of a UFO flying through the sky. Where are you to? Where are you to? Yeah. Is that what you were talking about, Fire Moon? There was a footage of, I'm going to find it anyway. It was like this object flying through the sky, and I always wondered about that daytime sighting. So that is UFO Secrets of the Third Reich. Again, what Moody and Ray were saying. Do we trust Wendell Diddley Steve? Oh, Wendell Diddley Steve. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, this is it, man. He's written a lot of books over the years on UFO cases, but again, it is really down to like, trust me, bros, isn't it? At the same time, it's there's a photograph I got when I talk about German flying saucers. When I break it down, there's a photograph that someone brings up that seems to be copied from a book. I ain't going to go into it now. Actually, I talked about it in my Cosmic Twilight video that I did with the books I uploaded. So it gets quite complicated. But again, we're dealing with documentaries. Around about 1994, a lot of hype on German flying saucers were really starting to get like hyped up. Obviously, that's when like the Hindenburg and Vril flying saucers started to take place. So at that time, Foo Fighters were otherwise known as a flying probe. I'm also going to bring up, as I'm on the video case at the moment, Vladimir Tzitsky. Ever heard of him? Vladimir Tizitsky? Is he up? Yeah, you're up. Okay, cool. So this guy here is pretty much what I'm doing in terms of like German flying saucers. He's actually gone back to the archive and finding stories on anti-gravity flying saucers, but he had a lot of outlandish claims. You can go check him out. It's called Vladimir Tizitsky, and this is in 1994, I believe. Secret Nazi Technology and Secret Societies, and this is 7.5 hours long. You're like a real long sort of presentation he's been doing. He's gone off the face of the earth now. Does anyone know what happened to Vladimir Tizitsky? If anyone know, like, even heard of him? But yeah, completely gone, face of the earth. No idea where he is. But here's an extract from the presentation that was taken back in 1994 about Foo Fighters.
Craft, air cushion craft. There would be a slight anti-gravity component due to the rotating mass of the fan, but that's all. They were experimented with and never put into mass production. In the 50s and so on. So, back to some almost tabloid reports about Kugelblitzes, about strange fireballs chasing enemy bomber formations over the skies of Germany. They were literally glowing like Christmas tree ornaments. They would dash at incredible speed, stop at a time, come back, chase the plane. At the beginning, they were chasing the planes. Later on, the plane started experiencing electrical malfunctioning and terminating the engines were cutting out. Only after the craft went away, the engines would restart. Some of the bombers got out of the dive, others crashed. Later on, bombers were fired by shooting projectiles, by shooting explosive gases in front of the bomber, so that when the bomber flies through the cloud of gas, it will be sucked by the engines and make their carburetors explode and catch fire. Renato Vesco talks about 20 such accounts of flying saucer attacks over enemy bomber formations with devastating results. One pass and 3 bombers were falling down in flames. Just one pass. Basically, the saucers were flying so fast, the bombers were sitting ducks for them.
Okay. So that is Vladimir Tizitsky. We could go check him out. Yeah, 7 hours long on German flying saucers and the flying disc and all the in-betweens and stuff like that. So what do you reckon about this, guys? I mean, what I've gone through for the time being is just what a Foo Fighter kind of looked like, basically. And well, let's say it looked like a tortoise shell. I tell you, let's bring up this because I kept on showing you a very grainy photograph. That, okay? So this, I found out recently, is actually a fake model. This is not a Foo Fighter, okay? This is what happens when you do research through books. You tend to spot the the misconceptions on information. And I find a lot of information online about German flying saucers is to be faked. That's just my personal opinion. I have to put a realistic view onto this subject. I can't just go down the woohoo path. I have to find out what is logical. But yeah, I tell you what, let me just show you what that was. That came from the documentary, which is, and we're going to get to the radar system because a lot of what, for instance, like Professor Simon was saying, I think it's worth mentioning because it does sound more realistic that the fact that this could be ionized plasma balls created by radar, and I'm definitely not ruling it out. Right, here we go. Right, see that? That was in the UFO Secrets of the Third Reich documentary, and this was proclaimed as being a real Foo Fighter. Okay, it's like a tortoise shell device. But then I bought a book. Oh, I can't remember what it's called. I'll go over there. I'm not going to grab it. I'll bring it up next time. That was basically... I've got rid of it now. Where's it to? There you go. It's basically that. That's what it is. It's actually a fake model, and it is a fake model. But you see the amount of fakery that has been going on that this was an actual Foo Fighter, and it actually is not. Okay, so that is my debunking for that. But also, we've got Jamie Reese, alien scientist, in there. I'll be interested to see your thoughts on that. Did the Germans develop some sort of probe, or had the capability of developing probes that would give off a strong magnetic field that to actually down aircraft, affects in one way affecting the ignition systems of the aircraft, causing it to crash? And that is one thing I didn't put in this episode. So this is what I mean. I need to do a second episode onto this to sort of try to find out what technology that they had back then, whether or not we can actually trace it to any technology in 2025 or any sort of research into it. And that's what I want to do. I will go into that on my next episode and everything. And but yeah, any sort of information, check it, pull it down in chat, and that would be much appreciated, because we're here like sharing information and all that. But this is one aspect that people don't really look into, that Foo Fighters could potentially be sort of man-made device, a bit like this radar system. Okay, so let's go into the debunk of this, which what I'm about to explain sounds more plausible. I can't remember the name of this radar system, but at the time, the Germans they managed to take the technology. I believe it was from Ukraine that were perfecting the radar systems, and they applied. I think the Germans then took that technology and basically perfected it. I think they had 3 different types of radar systems, but they were extremely powerful. Okay, I mean, Professor Simon Holland, whatever you want to call it, he was saying that the British, we keep on hearing that the British had the best technology, especially radar systems in World War II, and that's not true. We had radar systems that were literally, it goes around in a circle, and it catches something, it goes beep, it goes round beep. So when it hits the signal, it makes that beep. But what the Germans developed, it was basically like a laser pointer. They were literally, it was like a searchlight in the sky. And these radar systems were so powerful, it would actually ionize the atmosphere. I mean, for instance, if you got a cruising altitude of 20,000 feet, 25,000 feet, which is basically at that time period, it was like cruising altitude because you're going above the level of turbulence. So it's nice and steady. Obviously, you can get trails out of that, and there's plenty of footage of these bomber formations creating trails. So when you got that sort of smokiness, or you're in, like, for instance, altostratus, which is that thin veil that pierces the skyline, these like very, very high up clouds. If you point that radar system in that direction, it will actually produce a small plasma ball, ionized, scientific term, a ionized plasma ball. And I think a possibility, I'm not ruling it out, that this is what the pilots were actually witnessing. Yeah, Professor knocks that out. This one, yeah. The thing is, it's like being a woohoo. I still have to add a realistic conclusion, and I'm not ruling it out. That sounds very plausible, because the Germans definitely did have this technology, and it would produce a plasma ball. The Great Tesla Coil and the Commander Conqueror Red Alert came to the mind for some reason. Would have been high voltage in the air, illuminating enemy aircraft. Okay, all right. Cheers, Jeremy. I appreciate that, mate. Lasers weren't invented until the late 50s. Yeah, talking about lasers. We'll talk about that in the next episode. We're talking about lasers and actually propelling craft, which is quite interesting. This is like a very early 90s technology. Actually late 80s. You probably know more about that, Jeremy. But I'm definitely not ruling this out, that what they were seeing in the sky could have been ionized plasma balls. And it does seem quite... You can easily say, yeah, that's easily that's the point. That's definitely absolutely 100% the point of what this technology was. But reading through, for instance, Graham Randall's book, I'm going to try and get him on the show as well, that the Foo Fighters, as they eventually got to a certain altitude, would obviously glow a certain color, but they seen these as disc-shaped craft. And that is what, unfortunately, Professor Simon Holland didn't mention, that the crew members did see these silver discs, and eventually, as it got higher and higher, eventually ionized with the sky, creating this like basically halo effect. I'm going to try and grab as much witness testimony from Graham Randall's book. It's a fat book, man. I mean, I was just trying to do much research that I can. Probably get him on the show, actually. So because he's like, he'd be the mastermind behind that. Klystron words invented in 1937, maybe high-powered microwave gun. Possibility, yeah. This is what I like. I just like to like share information here because it's good stuff. Like I'm not saying that Foo Fighters as a device weren't created, but it's a possibility it would. But there's really no evidence to back anything up. It's just like Ray Motion was saying. It's just hearsay stuff. Right, what we've got here. I think that's it for Foo Fighters, really. Yeah, I'm going to do a follow-up onto this crazy conspiracy. Again, when it comes to evidence, you don't really have anything. It's just like speculation and everything like that. Oh, no, I tell you what I haven't brought up. That's me not paying attention. I've got documents. It's worth showing, actually. Definitely worth showing. 2 seconds. Where is the documents? Okay, let's bring this up. Let's bring up more book research from that. Okay. There we go. Right, it's tight. Okay, this is from Atlas Flying Saucers by Henry Stevens. Okay, this is an extract from this book here on page 145, and it shows documents from the headquarters, the United States Strategic. Oh my God, Nick. Don't rush your words. United States Strategic Air Force in Europe, Office of Director of Intelligence, and Evolution of German Capabilities in 1945. This is a real document, by the way. Okay. And if we skip to this extract here, it mentions something called poo bombs. That is, I don't know what that is. Poo bombs or poo bombs? Is that there? PROO? What do you reckon, chat? I don't know about that one. Poo bombs, like flying turds. So this is when did this come out? Yeah, it says 1945, but I think it came out like near the late 40s. And at the time, the Americans were saying like there was some sort of miracle weapon systems, and they thought at that time of 1943 to 1945 that these Foo Fighters were actually some sort of German technology. But this is what it says here. I'm not going to read this really badly. Ready? Okay. Occasionally reported by pilots, and the testimony of prisoners of war and escapees describe these weapons as radio-controlled, jet-propelled, steel-nose, short-range, high-performance ramming weapon for the use against bombing formations. Its speeds is estimated at 525 miles per hour, and it is estimated to have an endurance of 25 minutes. These bombs are launched from local airfields and are radio controlled either from the ground or possibly by aircraft. A few incidences reported by pilots indicate no success, though they have passed over formations and performed various antics and in the vicinity of the formations. It is to believe that in order to be effective, some 100-20 would have been launched against a formation. And it is also believed that they will not be produced in significant quantities to provide a real menace in 1945. So here we have, if I just go back, we're talking about these being radio-controlled, jet-propelled, steel-nose, short-range, high-performance ramming weapon of 1945. I tell you what, I forgot to put, look, magnetic waves. I tell you what, when we come back on the next episode, I'll do the whole document here. I should have put the whole document because it lists some sort of capabilities of what the German was actually creating at the time, which is like crazy stuff. I mean, there's one of them I was looking at was they were actually ionizing the atmosphere by using artificial cloud. It's a bit odd. Like I'll bring that up actually in the next episode. But again, this is just a document. This is a unclassified document from Henry E. Stevens that he took out from the National Archive itself. So the military were dealing, well, they thought that these were Foo Fighters or poo bombs were basically some sort of advanced weapon. This is an extract from, I think this is from Graham Randall's book, European Foo Fighters before 1940 and 1945. Foo Fighters did contain a strong explosive charge to destroy them in flight in case serious damage to the automatic guidance systems made it possible for the operators to control it. That's just a small little extract from there, but I think I need to go into more detail into this. But this is what was interesting, guys. Okay, I've got this document here. Remember the fuel mixture I was talking about? This is a document that came out in 1953, and this mentions about George Klein. We're going to get to George Klein when we're talking about German flying saucers, because he was part of the disc-shaped program, the Hubble Schriever discs, and sort of that sort of early time period. Not Hannibal flying saucers, and not that. These were like Fire Moon 42 was talking about, like these supersonic helicopters, or like eventually helicopter discs. And in this document, which you can find online, by the way, so this is from the CIA, you can get it from the website itself. And this talks about German flying saucers, sort of experts that came forward. And if you read through it, it talks about George Klein, which again, we'll talk about German flying saucers, was the engineer believed to be flying saucers to be, oh my God, I can't bloody read. Stated recently that many people believe that flying saucers was to be a post-war development when they actually were in the planning stages in Germany, aircraft facilities as early as 1941. Okay, so it's just a little extract from that. And he was part of the armaments in, was it Bavaria or something like that? I can't remember. Oh no, that might not be the document. Hold on. I might have screwed that one up. This is a German flying saucer one. Okay, forget that. Forget that one. Reports of field propulsion flying saucers. Not that one either. I got my documents mixed up. Oh, there it is. That's the document. Okay, ignore everything I just said. Right. Okay. Again, you can get this from the website itself. I believe it is in Hitler's Flying Saucers book, if you want to go find it. This is the United States Department of Justice, Federal Bureau of Investigation of June the 8th, 1967. You can read this extract about there were flying saucers or flying discs in World War II in 1943. And this was in the Black Forest. There was a top secret project in the Black Forest in Austria, which was pretty much saying that there was an anti-gravity sort of alien craft that crashed there, according to various books. Just reading through this. But it's talking about this aircraft being a disc-shaped craft, almost like a gyroscope. And you can read it for yourself if you want to. I'm not going to read through it because I'm going to cock it up anyway. This is what I mean by redacted. See, everything's blanked out to a certain degree, especially like names and stuff like that. But we get to this. Remember, the Foo Fighters were developed in Vienna Neustadt in Austria. So in Vienna Neustadt, sometime during the late 1943 and early 1944, Blank also assembled a secret pertaining to this aircraft were captured by the Allied forces. He said that this type of aircraft was responsible for the downing at least one America B-26 aircraft. He finishes the following fuel and engine data. Look, you have the fuel mixture. He's talking about flying discs. There we go. I should have zoomed in. Okay. And this is what I was going through the document. So it's mentioned the Foo Fighters had a specific fuel mixture to make this basically ionized with the atmosphere. And this is what we got this in this document here. I'm not saying this is a Foo Fighter, but remember the Foo Fighters were purposed to actually down bombing formations. And it said here, according to this document with this person here, I forgot the bloody name of it, he said that these type of aircraft were responsible for downing at least one America B-16 aircraft. Again, trust me, bros, isn't it, Rotary? But again, we have the fuel mixture. And there we go. So there are documents to sort of suggest that was some sort of design technology out there. Again, not real. So there we have documentations, we have books of information in regards of those blasted Foo Fighters of 1940 to 1945. Again, interesting claims, but I want to do a follow-up episode on this because it's finding the technology. Is the technology, can we trace it back then to what we can trace it back now? Is the army using this? Is the military using some sort of technology to actually saying that, the drone hysteria that happened not long ago? I did see one footage of oh, thank you. Yeah. Brew bombs. I think you're right, Jeremy. Yeah. I saw one footage of it was like a ball of light, and a drone goes up to it, and then suddenly the drone falls out of the sky, and then the orb flies away. This is it's crazy stuff. Like, it's I wouldn't be surprised if any sort of drone technology can actually do that. And this is what I want to do. I want to concentrate that, trying to find the technology behind it, and whether or not we can actually say, look, is a possible link that the Germans could have developed something like that. But at the end of the war, there was a lot of burning of documents, especially like secret societies and stuff like that. I think the Germans were so advanced to a certain degree. I wouldn't say they were perfect, but they were like quite 50 years ahead of what anyone was really producing at the time. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did create something like this. So there we go for Foo Fighters, guys. What do you reckon? Do you think these were like short-ranged, short-nosed ramming weapons? I don't know what you bloody call it these days, to be honest. Would you say these are drones or probes? Who knows? But it's fascinating claims, and I thought I'll bring it up anyway because ufology doesn't really talk about it. I know people will say, "Oh, you're just disinformation. You're spreading misinformation." It's like, no. If you look back through, historical events, the military knew that they were actually developing some sort of probe-related device. So I think it's worth bringing it up. Don't have to believe it. I mean, I'm 50-50 on stuff like this. I try to go for the most logical route. And again, not ruling out that the Germans could have potentially designed something like this. So there we go. I'll do a follow-up episode on that. Let's bring me up. So there we go. What have we got up? Let's go through chat. And I can read really badly. Once again. NASA took the scientist and no war crimes. Yeah, Werner von Braun, obviously he built the V1, V2 rocket that blew the crap out of this country. And you know what? A lot of Americans don't know. Have you heard of the Blitz? The Blitz were basically, they think it's just like a one-day event, and it wasn't. It blew the crap out where I lived in England because we were developing the armaments. If in fact, if you walk around like any of the Victorian buildings, you will actually see that they actually cut like the metal railings, anything metal related, even like around houses and all that. They would actually cut it to actually make like military weaponry and stuff like that. It's actually quite fascinating. But yeah, the Blitz, blew the crap out of our country and my city as well. So I know London was bombed 57 consecutive days, like literally every single day for 57 days were just like bombed the crap out of. In fact, my nan, who's still alive, her house was bombed during the war, and she never took a mental health day off, because she was, she had a stressful day. Like, no, they carried on with it. But yeah, I mean, my nan was telling me like incredible stories of the Blitz and the sound of the bombs. It's bloody frightening, isn't it? But no, for the Americans, this was a continuous throughout the war. They were just German Luftwaffes were bombing the country, civilians, and you had Werner von Braun, a mad rocket scientist who was a major part of that development, actually building these rockets, and he was employed by the Americans straight after the war. Another one was I'm looking into that's called Operation Paperclip. There's a really nasty bastard called Otto Ambros. He was the Surgeon General for the Third Reich. He was like the head of the vaccine program, and he was tried for war crimes in Nuremberg. But the Americans were like, "Hey, come over here, come work for us." And it had all like free visas and all that. It's actually quite disgusting what they managed to do. They kind of like bought thousands of scientists and engineers and technicians through Operation Paperclip to America, but a lot of I believe Nazis were actually put into the intelligence agency. And that's when, this is why the JFK files is so important, because it is linked to the UFO file. I mean, Jeremy Reese, you know about this, you know, the link to Guy Bannister, the head of, was he based in? It's like, I think it was in Camp Street where his office was held. And he was the guy who created the X-Files, Guy Bannister. And he was linked to Lee Harvey Oswald. This document is going to be very, very interesting that comes out, because I personally believe that JFK was assassinated to do the UFO file. And yes, I'm going down the dark journalist Daniel, what he's been saying about that. Fred Krisman, is that the guy with the head of the? Not he was part of the X-Files. I thought it was Guy Bannister. Jeremy, you're more in touch with this sort of stuff. I need to refresh my memory, but I wonder if these documents will actually come out for this. I don't think so. I think, like I said earlier in the podcast, I think a lot of documents is going to be redacted. I really do. I hope we get the truth. But do you think they're going to? I wonder if Marilyn Monroe will show up in the documents, because I know she had an affair with John F. Kennedy. The White House had a good video recently on Nazi escaping to South America. Yeah, like Argentina and even like Spain. If you go into like the high mountains of Spain, you've got whole German colonies there. Absolutely frightening. It's sort of they carried on the legacy of the Third Reich and of the Fourth. It's crazy, mate. It's crazy. Victor Schauberger or something like this. Yeah, Victor Schauberger. I want to talk about him at some point, because he created the repulsion device that a lot of German flying saucer researchers or sort of new to the sort of conspiracy will tie him into the. He did build something like anti-gravity because he's using implosion. It's basically a water vortex. I'll show you what Victor Schauberger is. Let's I'll put me on full screen, make it a bit easier. Because I have studied into Victor Schauberger. I find it absolutely fascinating what he managed to do. Victor Oh, there he is. Victor Schauberger. In 1935, he was employed by the Germans. I mean, bear in mind, Hitler at the time was 1935, so he would have been he would have been Vice Chancellor at the time. And Victor Schauberger met Hitler, and he says, "Look, I want to make a propulsion system that harmonizes with nature," and he created this. This is what you will find with Victor Schauberger. Okay. He created this device, but you get Haunebu real flying saucers built in, and this could be no further from the truth. What he actually built was, I mean, for instance, this. Actually, let's get a better photograph of that. Right, that there. Okay, it says a free energy device. It's not. That's a water purification system that he built. It's just to sort of purify water. Remember, Victor Schauberger, he was part of the forest. He saw how water would flow down rivers. And he would understand how water would flow, and when it would hit rocks, it would create like a vortex. And he applied that into like a flying machine. And eventually, he created the repulsion device. Repulsion, there we go. Which is this device here. This was it looked like a flying saucer. Okay, it looked like a flying saucer, and inside it had a water vortex, a bit like there we go, like that. So it's almost like a tornado effect, and he got that principle through how like trout used to propel themselves up the river, but it would use the water vortex to actually propel themselves. It's quite interesting. I'll do a video on Victor Schauberger, but he created the repulsion device that has been associated with German flying saucers, but could be no further from the truth, in my opinion. So yeah, that is repulsion device. But yeah, very, very interesting, Victor Schauberger. Very, very interesting. We've got here. Am I lagging? I shouldn't do. I'm plugged into the bloody internet, mate. I just spent 1,500 quid on a gaming PC, so I was relying on my 150 quid laptop, and that was bloody sketchy. Yeah. Oh, Jeremy Reese, right? Guy Bannister was like Will Smith of Fred Krisman, Tommy Lee Jones, the original MIB. Oh, really? Really? See the Mercy Island incident. Okay. Mercury Island incident. He was retired and working as a PH principal. PS. Oh my God, Nick, I'm going to say that again. I'm really sorry, Jeremy. This is what I mean. I tend to rush my words. He was retired and working as a HS principal. Left work when a UFO case happened. Oh, interesting. I appreciate all the information, Jeremy. I appreciate it, mate. And apologies for my shit reading. For God's sake. Let it out. Oswald was recruited into the CIA through Civil Air Patrol. Yeah, that's like a whole like ball game in itself, isn't it, Jeremy? I mean, that I got to really refresh my memory. I watched Dark Journalist, but the amount of information he puts out is like, and I'm working, I'm gardening at the same time, so it's just absolutely crazy. Oh, HS High School, gosh, yeah, right, okay, I appreciate that, mate. Thank you. Oh, that is recycled. Oh my God, man! I'm going to end the show in a minute. My reading's bloody terrible. Let's go through chat. Any more information on anything? Yeah, D Glocker. I had Jeremy Reese on Alien Addict going back last year talking about D Glocker, which requires a whole new show in itself, because there's a book I got here by Igor Wachowski who broken the story on regards of D Glocker, and there are documents to suggest that some sort of device was created at the time that gave off a very high magnetic field and very like radiation background and stuff like that. I keep on hearing like in the History Channel that this was like the D Glocker was flying around doing those maneuvers, and the truth is it didn't do that at all, because you couldn't ride it. It was tested underground. It had to be linked up by actual chains, gave off a huge amount of radiation that would actually destroy plants and I believe actually kill people. So that's like a whole amazing story behind that. But Igor Wachowski's book, I think it's called, have I got it here? Hold on. Oh, I've got it here. There it is. There you go. Igor Wachowski, The Truth About the Wonder Waffle. Wonder Waffle. So this was basically like a wonder weapon, basically. And Igor Wachowski was a Polish aviation journalist who wrote a series of books in the 90s detailing like German technology, like rocket technology and stuff like that. And he found someone called Jacob Spoingberg, who was a prisoner of war in Poland. And he wouldn't speak. He was very, very reclusive. He knew that something was going on, but he wouldn't say anything. But eventually he spilled the beans, and he written an affidavit talking about that what they were developing near the end of the war was this device that was the shape of a bell, and it had two barrels inside this device, and they had a red liquid that would counter rotate, and it would put globs of like as much as like electricity as like the power Berlin into this device. I mean, it was like millions and millions of volts. I'm trying to restructure my memory on this one, and apparently this thing levitated and went back down, but it gave off a massive amount of radiation. And there are some sort of documents that suggest that. But again, we'll do a full episode into that, as I got to spruce up on my research and everything. So yeah, I think I'm going to read one more. According to legends, German applied Schauberger's water flow concept to EMF fields. Oh, right. EM fields. Sorry, Jeremy. God's sake. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm going to take note of everything, because this is extremely, I think, valuable stuff. Like, I'm trying to figure out, all this technology that was built back then, can we trace it back to something that has been used now? I mean, if you look at like Tesla technology, I mean, we're talking about like HARP here and stuff like that, but is HARP can control everything? Can it control like the weather and stuff like that? That's been speculated through the. I'll be going to conspiracy theories here, though. So there are technologies that has been brought over into especially like military technology, but they ain't going to tell you what it is, though. This is it. Oh yeah, Henry Kawanda. Yes, that was more or less to do with the flying discs. These were like the 1941 to 1945 flying discs by Rudolf Schriever, Otto Herbermoor, Richard Methe, and Giuseppe Belluzzo discs. That seems more plausible that it would develop something like that. And I'm talking about, I tell you, I'll grab a photograph of this so you can understand. Oh, what have I got here? What do I think here? Trying to find a photograph here. Tell you what, get out of that. Don't need that. Because this is what kind of like annoys me with like German flying saucers. Again, I'm not denying anti-gravity flying saucers, but when people say to me, I've done research into it, I go on the internet and you don't know what you're talking about. I was like, well, hold on a minute. I've really gone back and trying to find, buying all the publications throughout the years. I mean, throughout the decades. When one of the oldest books I've got here is from the 50s in terms of like flying discs and stuff like that. I tell you what, put me on full screen. The oldest book I've got, I'm going to show you what the flying discs. Okay. So this is the book here, which is kind of linked into Henry Coanda. Yeah, go figure. So this is German Secret Weapons of World War II by Rudolf Lazar. And this came out in 1959. And in here, there's only a very small extract. And it mentions about flying discs. Okay, that looked like that. These were basically... take the principle of a helicopter, take the blades, and just put it into a disc. And that's what it is. So that there would spin, and it would have rockets on the side to actually give off the propulsion system. So it's basically like a supersonic helicopter. And that is the flying discs of World War II. This was like, 30 or 40 years before anti-gravity came out in anti-gravity flying saucers that the Germans created that came out technically in 1991. So, that is pretty much it. They cannot hide natural from the physics community, but they can distract the public and divert their attention. Absolutely. This is what I was talking about ufology. It seems to be like pushing people in different directions. It's splitting the community up. I think divide the community. I think that's one thing. Absolutely, for sure. Mysterion. Hello, Marina, you there? Marina, if you're there, welcome on in. Last one. I'm impressed. You are very documented. Yeah, but I can't bloody read. The thing is, I'm live on Alien Addict, right? I have to admit, I'm a bit nervous, and when I'm nervous, I can't read. I speak fast, and I can't read. And this is what I mentioned before. I'm really sorry, guys. I will slow my sentences down so I can actually read properly. So I'm gonna call it quits there, guys. I think let's just get this. Show out the way. And I thought I want to show you my research that I do. I like to go back to the old style of research to find out where these stories come from. I mean, before the internet, we had magazines, we had books, and that is where we got our information from. And I'm sort of trying to find where these stories came from and trying to have the puzzle pieces together, so to speak. So that is it, guys. Okay. I'm gonna call it quits there as the first show back for Alien Addict. I'm gonna bring my notes up and make sure I haven't forgot anything. No, I haven't. Okay, let's go through a road call. Rogue Trooper, congrats on a great first show. Good to have Alien Addict back on YouTube. Thank you very much, man. And I hope I did the best I can. I really tried to plan for this episode because I got to stick to a script. Because otherwise I'm just rambling, incoherent, So let's just go through the chat. S Hammer, man. I hope I said hello, man. I do apologize if I missed you out. And thank you so much. Complete knob to it's all right, don't worry. It's all a learning curve, mate. It's all a learning curve. Ray Mason, so thank you so much, man. And you're always a pleasure, Ray. You've always been on the live shows I've been going on, especially with Hidden and everything. Really do appreciate it. Same with you, Colbell Cats. Thank you so much. John P. Adventures. Thank you. SJ. Thank you so much. Much love. And Mysterion as well. And I got to put some of you as monitors as well, as moderators, I should say. Rebecca, thank you so much. Thank you. Cinema. Thank you. Is that right? I always said that right. Germany Reese, alien scientist. Thank you for being here as well. Muda Mongol. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Anyone I've missed? City Diva, if you're there. I see you soon. And pop in for a cup of tea. And John Strokes. Thank you so much. Honestly, guys, this has been an absolute pleasure. First show done. My heart rate has gone down. Now it's come to the end of the show. And it's going to be a very exciting year for Alien Addict. I'm going to try and compact as much as I can onto the shows. I will get the rest of the boys on, Ollie, Lee, and Dave. We're scheduled to bring them on for the probably the next couple of weeks, and I will have frequent guests. We'll get Matt from Terrestrial Materials back on, anything UFO related of like the current day, and I will get my main man, Hidden Underbelly, as well, which is always fascinating and always a laugh as well. So I think the process of what's going to happen now, I'm going to go once a week for the remainder of this month. So I'll be going live next Friday, and as soon as it hits February, I'll be going twice a week. So one on a weekday. I'm not too sure what day yet. And one on a weekend, and I'm not too sure. I just need to figure out because I need to like incorporate things with my relationship with the missus because I don't want to upset her and all that. So that is the plan for Alien Addicts. I'm going to go hitting the fields and keep your eyes to the skies. This is it. It's 2025 is going to be a batshit crazy year. I can feel it. There's this change, this cosmic change is happening. And yes, we see more stuff in the sky. That's why I say keep your eyes to the skies. Why I bought a £400 camera to keep your eyes to the skies in crystal clear, high definition. In fact, let's just plug my show. Okay. If you go to there, put my full screen. I'll find it easier. If you go to Rumble, and if you go to Investigate with Nick, hold on. I tell you what, Rumble is really annoying. They need to get their bloody website sorted out. It's all over the place. So Investigate with Nick 89. I upload every single day. I track the skies in beautiful 4K day and night, so I can find all those pesky trails and any UFO related things that are flying around. So yeah, you can check that out every day. How many videos have I got already? 765. Bloody hell. Yeah. So that's me on Investigate with Nick 89 on Rumble. You can also check me out on YouTube as well at the Cosmic Twilight. If I can actually find my channel, probably shadow banned. Yeah, you can't even find my channel anywhere. But I'm at the Cosmic Twilight, which is, oh my god. There we go, Cosmic Twilight. I will upload there as well on a frequent basis. And that's where you can find full breakdowns on German flying saucers, just like simplified stuff when it comes to German flying saucers, just like an easy breakdown. But I will do an in-depth sort of investigation into the conspiracy on Alien Addict. And yeah, that's it. So Investigate with Nick. And we've got Cosmic Twilight on YouTube, and that. Oh my god, Ray, did you put £2, buddy? Oh man, you didn't have to do that. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Thank you. That's honestly, everyone in chat has been so lovely. I haven't read the rude ones, it didn't really bother me at all. But you're gonna get those on you. You're gonna get those. So yeah, that is it. Everyone in chat. John Stokes. Did I say hello, John Stokes? Hello, John Stokes. Bye, John Stokes. But everyone in chat, thank you so much. I'm rambling on at this point. And yeah, I shall see you all next Friday, whenever that is. Same time, 9 p.m. UK time. And I think it's like 5 o'clock US time. And yeah, good times will be had by all. Thank you so much for joining me on Alien Addict. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. And I got a catchphrase. Oh no, before I go, one more plug. The Daily Conspiracy Podcast. Go check the boys out there. Trust me, it is a hell of a laugh. If you love dick jokes and Ollie getting ass fucked, I'm not joking. Go check out the Daily Conspiracy Podcast. It's a good laugh. It's just like Alien Addict without the censorship. And remember, rate 5 stars and leave a comment because reptilians don't take days off. No evidence of that. Oh, and by the way, I will be seeing this person soon. I can't think his name. Who is he? Who is he? He's a famous person. He's had Fingerprints of the Gods. He's got a Netflix show. Yes, Graham Hancock. I'm going to try and get him on the show. Right, that's it. I'm done. Great live stream. Thank you, everyone in chat. Much love, people. I'm just going to see if I haven't missed any. Oh, Paula Faust. Yeah, have a good evening, Paula. Thanks for being here. Sorry if I missed you. And I should probably see you on the weekend. Lady, I may or not know. Yeah, thank you, everyone in chat once again. And I shall see you next Friday. Catchphrase. Remember this. I think Theo Chalmers said this. Watching you, watching us, watching them. Good night, folks. See you next Friday. Rate 5 stars. Daily Conspiracy Podcast on Spotify. You're very welcome. See you, folks. Have a good weekend.